Hello and welcome back to the Digital Marketing Podcast. My name is Kieran Rogers.
I'm Louise Crossley.
And I'm Daniel Rolls.
And today we are discussing digital marketing myths.
Okay, so we always start off, and there's probably like a smirk on our faces when we start off sometimes, because we've invariably done the intro sequence a couple of times.
Also, I struggle to say the word myth.
Myths. I noticed that as well.
Yeah.
I didn't want to pick on it too much, but we're gonna go with it. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
This is because I wanted to do this one. This was an idea of mine, which might turn out to be a terrible one. But someone came to me the other day, and this is like 15 years now. This has been going on for, if not longer. Where I'm doing my SEO and I'm just doing my meta keywords at the moment. Right. If anyone doesn't understand this, okay, in the background of your web page, you have got various things. You've got these meta tags that are there to tell the browser something or the search engine or something like that. And meta description is something that is still used. It's a paragraph that describes the page, and it's sometimes, not always, sometimes using the Google search results as the black bit of text, or what is currently black, that might change, in the search result. It's not weighted very heavily, but when you look at it and you read it looks relevant, you're more likely to click, and that click has an impact. Anyway, there's another thing called meta keywords. Meta keywords is a list of words that is separated by commas, and for years...
It was a brilliant idea.
Well,
The search engines got together and went, right, what we'll do is
how
we'll
you used
get
to do
all
it.
webmasters
Yeah, how you used to do it.
to tell us
The truth.
what keywords their pages are relevant for.
And then we'll know what to rank them for.
And exactly, genius.
So back in the
that
day-
couldn't go wrong, right?
Yeah, right. Back in the day, it worked when there were 12 websites, right? And they were all honest webmasters. Problem is, you could write anything in your meta keywords, and therefore people started to manipulate and pack keywords.
That was like back in, 2004. By 2006, most web pages had about 16,000 meta keywords.
And then
added to
dodgy
each page.
SEO people started going around. Now, I haven't heard this for about 7 or 8 years, I'm going to say. I have had it on a couple of times, and I said, meta keywords don't do anything, I haven't done for a decade. And there'd be someone at the desk go, "Oi," and you could see them react and go, "Oh, I've been telling everyone this is really important, but I'm not going to say anything because it sounds really embarrassing because it's been a decade." So, look, it's not been a thing for a while. What I would say is actually a lot of internal searches in content management systems do use them still.
Yeah.
So don't necessarily delete them.
Last time I checked, they still seem to have some impact on Yahoo, but that was quite a few years ago now.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. so
I mean,
maybe not.
unless you are in particular parts of the world, Yahoo is not that widely used either, I should say. So, but I came across it the other day, and they said, "Oh no, my agency had told me I needed to sort my meta keywords out, and then my SEO would get better."
Does that agency know something we don't?
Well, that's also, but maybe it's gone full circle.
Yeah, if you
It's
are
like-
that agency, get in
It's
touch.
like fashion styles. Eventually, you wait long enough, you come back into fashion. Okay. There's so many mean jokes.
Do you know what, though? There's plenty of evidence that very old websites can rank particularly well.
Well, that's also because of authority and trust and all those kind of things as well.
Yeah, but very often...
not because they're meta keywords.
No, do you know what? Very often it's because of the way they were done. So there's a lot less imagery and a lot more words that the algorithms can get their teeth stuck into.
Interesting.
Like I've seen that in quite a few old e-commerce stores, and you look at the results again, it's like, whoa, there's no backlink profile there, but they're getting top ranking results against all these other key players. There was a sunglasses manufacturer I did some work
But you
for.
can't recreate the idea that something's existed for 15 years. If it's been there for 15 years, there's a kind of an element to say there's trust in this because it's been there for that period of time, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, that brings me to number 2 on our amazing marketing myths.
Just before we do that,
Yes.
can I just mention one thing?
Yes.
Which is, although meta keywords aren't a thing,
Yes.
I love YouTube search optimization, right? Because
It's
YouTube,
old school.
wow, it's sort of like SEO was like 10 years ago. So YouTube have a thing called a tag, which works like meta keywords.
It doesn't. So this is the
Kind of
thing.
does.
When you get those tools, what's the YouTube tool that you use?
vidIQ.
vidIQ, right? vidIQ will suggest keyword tags to go in there.
Yeah.
And you put them in there,
Yeah.
but it says really clearly these won't have any impact on your rankings because Google doesn't look at them in that
No,
way.
but they're kind of like hashtags. They help your content get found.
Themed.
Yeah,
That's
and
exactly
themed.
it, right? That's it. Exactly.
So they do. So that these things do have an impact there. So if you've not looked at your video tags, like my advice would be avoid single words. That's just a nonsense. It needs to be like a phrase. It needs to give a good idea. Like really, you have to use them like the meta keywords tag was intended to use it, like with integrity. So don't just like put thousands of tags in that aren't relevant.
Well, I'd say it's not hashtags. It is about saying labeling your content, what it's about, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. That brings on the next one. Build it, they will come. This happens in a lot of like, well, we'll build this thing, and then people will come. The world does not exist like that anymore. No. Even I've had this a lot when I go, right, what I'm going to do, we always preach an exceptional content. So I'm going to build a truly exceptional piece of content. I'm going to take everything I've ever written on digital transformation, true story, and I'm going to put it into one place. I'm going to build the framework in. They're going to have 6 videos, blah, 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 and nothing happened. And then it was like, oh man, that's just really sad. We built this bit of... It did happen in the long term. So what eventually happened is we built it, but then we started gaining links. People started discussing it in social media, and it kind of worked. But it wasn't just build it and they came. It was build it and then seed it and then grow it and then show other people where it is. That's
the thing, though. I feel like a lot of people put so much time into creating good content, but they don't put just as much time into what they do with the content afterwards.
Yeah, there's always that argument that if you're going to spend £1,000 creating a piece of content, you should spend £1,000 promoting it. Whether that's trying to make people aware of it, using paid, whatever it might be. I wouldn't quite go to that extent. I'd say you should invest more in the content than the distribution of the content. But if you haven't got a distribution plan for the content, massive problem. People is not going to find it so much as well. You're going to say something.
It's just Pareto's law, 80-20.
Right, there you go.
So I would start there. It applies to, it's a bit superstitious of you, but it applies to so many things. Why not content?
It does. Yeah. It does. I mean, I'll give you another point. We all try and do the hub to hero thing. We publish loads of blog posts. Some of them should become hero content in that they'll get picked up in the search engines and rank really well. It doesn't. It's about 20% of them. It is an 80-20 rule. Again, it is still about 20% that make the difference.
It's quite hard to predict which ones they're going to be, right?
I'm disappointed in my prediction of this, right? There are some things I know will work, like definitions, right?
But take that article of what is Google preferred. I mean, it was such a throwaway article. And 1 month...
300 words?
Yeah.
And it just got huge... I mean, like, we still rank #1 for what is data scraping, okay? Which is not really amazingly on topic.
We get so much traffic.
Yeah, but we have to then try and convert some of that traffic as well.
That was my idea.
Was it?
Just saying.
Oh, there you go. Good for you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for all that irrelevant traffic.
I know.
It's a really great article.
You know, that's the funny thing, though, isn't it? What about the other 500 ideas that I had that just... No, we don't talk about those.
No, you should have said the other 9 or 8. You shouldn't have said that. But yeah, that's right. No, so build it and they will come. No, you need a distribution plan. You need to try and work that out as well. Give us another one. Go on.
Vanity metrics.
Right. No, we shouldn't be speaking about this still, but a vanity metric is a metric that sounds great, doesn't really move the needle. I'm still guilty of this. If I had 50 million genuine followers on Instagram,
yeah, you'd be very happy about it.
I'd be happy about it. Right? I'd be proud of it. I would mention it a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't. And people would look at it and go, wow, he's got 50 million.
Yeah.
So there is a brand impact of these things. So I'm not saying vanity metrics. I mean, I've preached vanity metrics, a terrible thing for a long time, but they do have a social impact from that point of view as well. Now, how many of those are fake? How many of them are actually engaging?
That's the thing. So it almost looks worse if you have so many followers, but you're only getting 2 likes.
Yeah, that's also very true. Like that sounds like my Twitter account. Okay. So there is this thing of like certain metric matter. I mean, I want that following so I can get the engagement, so I can drive the traffic to the website, so I can do the thing. So any one metric on its own is meaningless. Even, website visitors, if they're the wrong people, it's no good. High bounce rate, we used to go, well, that doesn't, if they get what they want and they leave, it's okay. So without context, any metric is, apart from sales, is not always an easy one to look at. And even then, there's some limitations.
So I've got a lovely kind of way of looking at this. Years ago, I used to work at a sailing academy. I was there for 13 years, and we used to teach people navigation. And when you're navigating, if you've ever done this manually, or if you've ever done any orienteering or sailing, you do this. So you need to work out where you are on a chart, right? So what you do is you look for landmarks that you can find on that chart. And if you can find 3 of them, you can measure the angle between you right now and those 3 objects, and you get some angles.
Triangulate.
Yeah, and you can triangulate your position. So you draw if I've got a church steeple at 90 degrees that way, I can draw from there down to where we think sort of we are. And if I get 3 others, I'll get a triangle and we're definitely somewhere in that spot, right? And actually, you should do this with your metrics as well. So,
I like this.
Right? So never look at one fact or one thing that's like piece of information that's doing the digital rounds. Always try and look for 2 or 3 other corresponding factors to triangulate your position on that. And actually, it just makes sense because actually, when you do that, you're doing things like you are fact checking,
and you know roughly the area you're in.
You know roughly the area you're in. Yeah. And so it just helps you remove that element of, well, I know that I only see what I want to see sometimes. Like, we're all guilty of that. That's human nature. You know, I love it when I see numbers that I think, gosh, that makes me look impressive. That makes my contribution look impressive. But I've learned just through, you know, disappointment at the end of the day, really, when it doesn't all come to fruition the way you want it. No, triangulate. Take a few other metrics that correspond, that prove, no, you are there.
I predict this now. Triangulated metrics for digital marketing has become a thing.
Trademark it now.
I think we're going to trademark it. We're going to write an article on it.
Let's do a course on it.
Exactly. I would go to the course. It sounds pretty good, right? Yeah. So triangulated metrics, digital marketing, you heard it first. This is the origination of that phrase.
Yeah. And Louise, where can they sign up for the webinar?
We're going to Google it now, find out someone else has done it a million times over. So we should caveat that as well. We'll do some checking afterwards. The next on this list, I don't know if this is a myth, but I think it's something people are guilty of. So Louise, tell us the next one.
So the fact that I don't need to market to my existing customers.
Yeah. So you talk about this a lot, Kieran.
I mean, you can do this. You are leaving a lot of money on the table, my friends.
Is it also?
Yeah.
You kind of end up in a situation where you're having to market to those people again. You're not building that relationship. And it's why we're all obsessed with community at the moment. We want two-way communication. We want these people that are speaking to each other.
No one's getting it really, though, are they?
No,
really?
But I mean, there's a handful. But the reality is, actually, I've never had many more useful conversations when I speak to our existing customers. Go, what do you think of the platform? They go, I love this. I love this. This bit's really. Oh, okay. And you speak to 4 or 5 people and you get the same answer 5 times. You're like, right, we'll fix it. Let's get it done.
It's kind of worse than that, though, isn't it? It's like, it's not, I don't need to market to my existing customers. I don't even need to talk to them.
Yeah, I think that's more. It's get their feedback.
It's so easy to end up in that digital ivory tower.
They're through the door now.
You've got lots of metrics coming through. Yeah, we know what we're doing. No, but you don't, because you're not getting the direct feedback from the customers. Triangulate, my friends. Triangulate.
Let me give you you're not getting paid per mention.
We're not.
There's no commission on this. Let me give you an example of something that's absolutely daft. So I'd spent ages between GA4, HubSpot, Profitwell, Stripe, trying to go, exactly how many people have we got that got to this stage of the journey and then left? Right? And I was going through, is it 134? Is it 130? This one's saying it's 127. And I was going, wait a minute. I could just email all of those people individually and say, would you help me out and ask? And I just went, we could just contact these people individually. And it's like, I work at the amount of time I spent fooling around with analytics and data and gone, I could have had 130 conversations or like 30 conversations that would have given me the answer that I actually needed.
Because that's the thing, you don't need to contact everybody. You just take a sample.
Yeah, that's exactly
sample.
it.
And you find this all the time with CRO. You know, we found that actually, if we run 6 tests with individuals, we probably get to like 70% of the core answers that we would get, you know, interviewing 60.
User testing always says 85% of the problems were identified with 5 people you're testing with. So it doesn't need to be complicated. So yeah, I think that's definitely something that speaking to your customers is often missed when it's not that hard.
It's just, I mean, I say this so often, but go and, all of you listening, go and spend some time. If you have one, like a customer centre, go and spend some time, make a morning of it. Take in some donuts and coffee and, you know, enjoy it, but go and listen to actual customer conversations going on the phone. You know, most training like call centres have like training headsets and stuff. You will come away with a wealth of ideas because you begin to understand why your customers are using your products and your services.
But when you don't have that, find a way of doing it. So we would do something where we'd go out to our newsletter and go, if you're a customer of ours, we will incentivize you to speak to us. We'll pay you for your time, right? Whether you want a 3 years membership or we'll give you £100 gift voucher, whatever it is, but just like, and I want 10 minutes of your time. That's all I want. There's got to be what's in it for them from that point of view as well. So great. Right.
Avinash Kaujik was telling me how he actually spends time on the business floor. So he was doing some work, I think with a mobile phone network, and he spent several days in one of their stores just looking at how customers are acting. And he said, I came away with so many more ideas than had I been looking at data till it came to my eyes bled. So many more ideas because you just sort of begin to spot patterns. And, you know, that is just as valid an in-source of data, right? In fact, more so because it's a bit more meaningful, and that's how our brains work.
Yeah, I think user testing is just user testing, user observation. If you look at design thinking, that first stage is understand the problem, and you don't even know what the problem is most of the time, why people are dropping out.
But then if you do a round of user testing and the amount of problems you uncover, if you do that on a regular basis, you're just going to keep improving.
Yeah, really important. And I I think we're still guilty of it to some extent. We're starting to do it more, but I think we could improve that as well. So it's interesting. The next one's one of mine.
Why are you whispering?
I don't know. It's like it's a secret and I don't want to say it out loud. Social media is a really effective channel. Not always. And when I say not always, mostly not is what I'm going to say. Right, this is a challenging one. I've looked at how many hundreds of companies' analytics. They spend a disproportionate amount of their time on social media for the results that it gives in terms of the analytics contribution. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't impact brand and all those kind of things. I'm not saying you shouldn't do social media. But I'm saying if I had to lose email, search, or social media, I wouldn't even think twice. Social media would be gone. Okay? Now, that depends on your brand and all those kind of things. But actually, I just think that the disproportionate amount of time spent on it is sometimes out of kilter of what it's actually driving, but we're terrified of not doing it. And it used to be the same case with you do loads and loads of print advertising or loads of TV advertising, you'd be terrified of stopping it. I think those channels actually work even more effectively now. So I'm happy to be challenged on it, but I would say we overweight effort toward it when actually the results aren't always there.
Definitely. I 100% agree with that. Like in a lot of businesses, when I'm going through and auditing like how they're performing and you know what's bringing home the bacon, you know, I mean, social media, do you know, you almost end up in a position where, would you know what, you have to do it because it would be suspicious if you were absent from there. If you haven't actually posted anything out for like 6 months, that looks bad. And you've got those channels, you know, they're embedded everywhere within all of your content and what have you. But in actual fact, you know, we had a big argument the other day with a team on what is the point of having those social share buttons on an e-commerce website? Because I'm not being funny, but come on, who uses those in 2023?
I had a really interesting conversation about this because we've got them embedded into our content, the idea that you'll read some content and you'll share it.
Yeah.
Okay. One, I would never do that. I would copy the link and put it in.
Yeah.
And then we found out that they're actually causing a bit of weight on our server because they have quite a lot of JavaScript behind them that you wouldn't even imagine was there sometimes as well. So I think there's kind of feel like we have to do something. There is a hygiene factor of you need to be present. Your brand needs to exist if it's already there.
But I don't think anybody's really seriously used those share buttons so I can automate, like I find a product. Like it just beggars belief. Like we're not really thinking about that. What is the user journey here? You know, the very first time I come across a product, am I going to want to share that, like before I've bought it, am I going to want to share that on social media? Because that's the majority of people coming through. No, that kind of social sharing, it makes more sense to me to put that later on in the journey when I've actually bought the thing, bought into the service.
And then
I'm ready to social share. But the world over, everybody's still slapping those social media share buttons on every single product. And you've got to have it shareable on Twitter and on Facebook. And actually, you're right, it does create like a code overhead because those share buttons end up sending data on that traffic through to the network so you can create audiences and stuff.
So the next one, this is the SEO pylon time is going to come now. Google came out and said other websites pointing at your stuff is going to be less of a signal in the Google algorithm than it was previously. Right. I'm not saying that's not true at all. And that's because there are more and more signals. The algorithm is becoming more and more advanced. But what I would say to you is that why links worked was obvious, was that if someone were to talk about you, mention you, have you on their website, there must be a pretty darn good reason for that. Now, there's all sorts of ways you can try and manipulate link building, and that's why Google are moving away from it, in my opinion, where they can. But when someone turns around and says, link building doesn't matter anymore, I think there's two things. Link building, if you are specifically going out and going, swap us a link, put us a link on your website, that's hopefully that will be stopped. I get as many emails, that kind of stuff still as I do for, please can I be on the podcast? That's my two bugbears. The reality is that naturally ending up with links is a byproduct of excellent content. So actually, this idea this is going to go away, Google will be just looking at other ways of working it out and signals and all those kind of things as well. But the bottom line is that link building does matter because it's really people pointing at you because you've got something useful, entertaining, educational, fun, whatever it may be on your site. And it's not, I'm not saying you should be out there trying to, all I care about is getting links, but you should be creating something that creates enough of an impact that you do generate links off the back of it.
Definitely. I think one of the areas where people get very hung up on this is because big sites with lots of links get good rankings. But actually playing around with this, one of the things I've focused on which proves you can beat people with big link profiles, is on the click-through rate.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
So how do we influence the click-through rate on a organic piece of content? Well, there's only two things, in my opinion, you can do. Like, they're both the things that get shown to the user when it appears in the search results. It's the title and the meta description.
And the URL, I guess, as well.
And the URL to a certain extent. If you can embed in there a better promise behind the click than all the other people in that keyword space, you will win. Right. So the example we always use is the how to get Google Analytics certified. Right. And so our title is how to get Google Analytics certified and 5 free ...
Yes, it's 5 free resources, but it stops you at that.
Now, for a long time, we've ranked above an article by a search engine journal.
We ranked above Google most of the time. We kind of alternate with Google now.
That's right. So, but search engine journal, I'm a monkey's uncle if we've got more backlinks than search engine journal. One of the biggest SEO sources of knowledge and like experimentation on the planet. And yet in this keyword space, we were able to outrank them. And it's purely because we've got a really great click-through rate. Why? Because we're promising a bit more. Like, it's like that line in the Tom Cruise film, isn't it? Jerry Maguire, like, you had me at hello. It's like, yeah, you had me at 5 free things.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And I think it just little things like that, like writing your titles better, can have such a big impact that it's quite easy to get distracted by the latest newfangled idea. I'm going to do this. And actually, it's like, just write better.
It's really simple, really simple. Like, what's the promise behind the click? And are you making a better promise than everyone else in that space? Yeah. And if you do that, you can win. And this is great. This is something you can all experiment with, because you get your click-through rate data, and also you'll be able to see your ranking average.
Yeah, Google Search Console.
Google Search Console, you can get it all in there, and you could pick a few of these. So I challenge everybody to do this. Pick a few of these where you're not ranking badly, like it's obviously getting some time in the sunshine, and just play around. Like, look at that keyword space for the keywords you're ranking for. Look at what everyone else is promising, and go the path less trod, and like add in a nice hook. Golden rule with this is you don't want clickbait. You've got to deliver on that.
Yeah, key phrase hook is great as long as the hook delivers. And
Google are looking at the user behavior as well.
Yeah, do they leave immediately afterwards as well?
It always just goes back to what's in it for me, doesn't it?
Always.
Yeah. Provide value. What's in it for them? That's what's going to really tick it off. And then make sure you communicate that clearly, I guess. Okay. What are your favourite myths, listeners? Targetinternet.com/podcast. Let us know. Want to hear what you've been told or what you think is a bit of a myth as well. SEO world, pile on. Let us know. Come on. I'm really interested to know your opinions on these things, because feedback into us, and we'll kind of share that stuff as well. One last thing to say, Digital Marketing Skills Benchmark. If you want to benchmark your team for free, we have automated that process. So you can go in there, it will set your page up for your team, it will give you a link you can share with your team, and you can get them benchmarked really quickly now, and that whole thing is automated, and then we'll share the results with you. Thank you for listening to Digital Marketing Podcast, and we will see you next time.
Please subscribe for more videos like this, and visit targetinternet.com for more free digital marketing resources.